Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Entities Campfire. Welcome to what is one of my favorite things, or what I think will be one of my favorite streams to cast today. We have Demonic versus Invictus. Some very, very strong players on both sides here, Team Demonic. Some very, very, very strong NA players making their way all the way to the top of the leaderboards recently, doing very, very well for themselves. We have Slamma Jamakama on the Ghostface, facing it Spitz, Dan, Nightlight, and Kexo for Team Invictus. Let's get things underway. We already have a lot of stock progress onto Nightlight and a little bit onto Dan as well. Slam just wants to 99 Dan, just making sure we're getting all that, a little bit of stock progress, a bit of management of all that stocking. Wonderful, wonderful stuff going on here. Camping safe pallets as we are. Kexo taking first fully stock, and it's gonna be fully exposed. We hear a little bit of progress on this library generator as Cam wants to just completely chase Kexo. Kexo taking chase to the top side of the map here, trying to make sure that he can last as long as possible. But we have this pretty decent pallet here on this side of the map here. This is actually the bottom side of the map, by the way, as we are continuing to drop all these god pallets, making sure that this chase lasts as long as possible. Kexo now continuing chase, wanting to make sure that he does not take this down to this full infection. Beautiful stuff from Cam. Mind gaming just a little bit there. Is he able to make this win? No, he is! A beautiful, beautiful down from Slamma. And that will be the first hook for Team Demonic. Spitz, Dan, Nightlight continuing to progress their generators. A little bit of progress on 3 different fronts here. You'll love to see it. No pain resonance to speak of, however. So that is something quite interesting here. As we see Slamma just going to go into stealth mode a little bit, break a pallet, making sure we can see if we can sneak up on any of the survivors here. Corrupt Intervention no longer going to be taking effect, as is the case when it is a down. However, we are seeing Grim Embrace here. Now, Grim Embrace, a very, very strong perk, actually can get a lot of value if it is used very correctly, as we are seeing a little bit of progress here onto Spitz. Spitz taking a little bit of stock here, almost fully gets the stock onto Kexo, but is not quite able to get it. So Slamma actually going to go ahead and kick the generator as Spitz faults the library window. God pallet not going to be dropped yet. Slamma just wants to go back to hook, sees Spitz here just running away. Or is that Dan? I believe that is actually, oh my god, a god pallet dropped immediately for Kexo. Beautiful stuff here from Slam to just catch Kexo off guard. However, Kexo a little bit more aware of it than Slamma would have liked. However, Kexo continuing chase over to this amazingly good pallet here, honestly, when it's pre-dropped. Slamma continuing to just take chase with Kexo. Kexo now taking chase on this pallet. Slamma swings through the pallet, but no drop from Kexo. Beautiful, beautiful stuff as this strong pallet now going to be dropped here as Kexo continues to chase through it. Beautiful swing and a miss here from Slamma. Unfortunately, as we're seeing a body block here from Spitz. Spitz now going to be fully stocked, as he's going to now take it down. Slamma still on this chase, does not want to let it go whatsoever. A lot of progress here to speak of for Dan's generator, as Dan will take a tag here, as we're now going to rotate towards Dan here. Not interested in this tunnel out anymore, as it will unfortunately spell trouble for Slamma if he is not able to get a quick down here very, very quickly. Spitz now going to be hooked here. We're going to probably be seeing a hook on this generator, make sure that the progress is not able to be continued. Beautiful stuff here from Slamma, as we're now going to be seeing scratch marks heading over to this side of the map here, the main side of the map here. Very fresh scratch marks, excuse me, at that. And that is going to be Dan. Dan now taking chase at this very, very strong pallet. Has to check spot correctly and does so perfectly. Drops the pallet, making sure that he's lasting as long as possible. We're going to be fake kicking the pallet, but it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, not going to catch Dan off guard anytime soon. A 50-50 needs to come out, and it's not quite going to work out for Dan as Slamma gets it down. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here for Slamma. Unfortunately, 2 generators remaining with only 2 hooks to speak of. This is still very, very doable for Slamma, however, as that is going to be another hook with Grim Embrace as well. 3 stacks of Grim Embrace. You actually really like to see that. Now you're playing into that perk, and you really need to play into that perk if you're going to get more stages out into this game. The 4th Grim Embrace is going to be Nightlight. Now, we have to find Nightlight if we want to be able to keep pressure on these generators. And there's Kexo. No, that's Spitz, actually. Spitz actually taking chase at this very, very strong loop here. Choosing to try to avoid stock, but isn't going to quite... Or, sorry, Slamma isn't going to quite be able to avoid getting spotted by Spitz here as he is taken out of the fully exposed here. Dan going to get unhooked. Now, the question is this Nightlight? Now, if this is Nightlight that you can find here, this would be exactly what you need. As you see scratch marks heading over to one side of the map with really nothing much. And there's Dan. Dan's still injured. This is not going to be a Grim Embrace with this down. However, Dan will have a pretty decent chaser. Unfortunately for Slamma, this is on the side of the pallet that you really don't want to be looping, as you can't really zone properly. And Slamma actually understands this, so will be rezoning a little bit. There's Kexo. Kexo coming in to take a hit here, buying Dan a little bit of time. However, Dan doesn't really have much place to go, so that hit really didn't mean too much here for Slamma here, as a swing through the pallet will actually take Dan's life. A pallet break at that, and the generators are continuing to be progressed. One generator will pop for this down. You need to find Nightlight. Again, Nightlight is your final Grim Embrace, and the team will know this, so they're going to be keeping Nightlight out of sight for as long as they possibly can. And there's the reset coming in from Kexo. Kexo, however, going to retake the tag, and there is Nightlight. That is who you need to go for. Continuing chase onto Nightlight. We need this down to be very, very quick. Nightlight taking chase over at, unfortunately, kind of a dead zone. Nothing much to use, but actually does have this pallet. So very, very good understanding of Nightlight. Gonna vault the window through the library. Still has this library god pallet to use. So Nightlight is still safe from a tag, unfortunately. Fully stocked is Nightlight. Beautiful, beautiful stuff to get that onto Nightlight here. Gonna be trying to cut Nightlight off with the undetectable status effect. And it's going to actually find Nightlight. Not going to quite be able to catch him off guard, though, as Nightlight will actually be caught off guard. Never mind. Beautiful stuff here from Slamma. Fully tricking the mind of Nightlight. And that is going to be 4 stacks of Grim Embrace. Slamma has really, really good pressure on these survivors now. Needs to find one survivor caught off guard while these these generators are under the entity's control. He has a little bit of breathing room here. Now, it's important to know he only has 1 stage on all 4 survivors here, right? So if you're going to find something, you need to find it very, very quickly. And there's Dan. Dan now taking chase over to the top side of the map here. Will unfortunately take a tag to this very unsafe tile. Dan knows it, so he's just going to hold forward. Not going to bother to play it. Vaulting the window, going upstairs, trying to make sure that he can prolong this down as long as possible, and it will actually result in Dan. No, Dan is holding the check spot. Beautiful stuff from Dan as he's going to revault the window. No, there's no window on this side. He does revault this window, however. Dan continuing his chase. A body block hit is going to come in from Kexo. Beautiful stuff here from Kexo and Dan. Great, 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 great teamwork. Pallet drop, and unfortunately a stun for Slamma. Meanwhile, Nightlight is still on this hook here. No generator progress to speak of, however. We know this, but unfortunately Slamma does not. We have to keep this in mind, however, for our own purposes. The lack of generator progress is good for Slamma, but he obviously is still scared that they have more than you think. Is there a head-on in this locker? There is. Beautiful patience from the head-on player. And that's going to be Dan. Dan taking chase now again. Amazing stuff from Dan. Dropping the pallet, prolonging this chase even further. Generator progress to speak of now. 25% on that generator. Not able to find the down onto Dan just yet. This is some really, really great gameplay we're seeing. All of you getting into comp, please take notes. And everyone who is already into comp, but maybe not as adept as these players, as we're seeing both killer and survivor side, take notes, because this is amazing gameplay, as Nightlight is now going to take a tag for Dan, preventing the down even further as this generator slowly but surely progressing and being doubled at that. 50% on it. Slamma needs it down, and he needs it down right now. He needs to continue chase onto Dan, and does actually do so. Unfortunately, I think Slamma has accepted the fact that I don't think he's going to be really getting much more for this chase here, as that generator is just going to pop. Dan is dead. I actually did not take that into consideration. So Dan being dead here is actually a really good thing for Slamma. Now Slamma needs to find another person, preferably someone with a little more hook stages attached to them. Kexo, I don't remember. I think Kexo is only one stage, so really you can find and kill and down anyone here. As we are going to see Spitz here, Kexo now going to be able to make a little bit of distance, but that is exactly who we want. Is he's not really running to any of the exit gates, and we want to keep the survivors as far away from these exit gates as much as possible. Kexo might just be dying here, and if Kexo is dying here, that would actually be really, really good for Slamma. Slamma now going to continue chase over to this really unsafe pallet. Bloodlust kicking in, and maybe that's exactly what Slamma wants to play for here. Beautiful stuff from Kexo, the 1v1er. Oh my god, of all time. Can Kexo remake this pallet is the question. No, unfortunately, Kexo cannot remake the pallet. Slamma will take another down. This is 7 stages, I believe. No, it is... No, it is 7 stages. It's going to be a death with 7 stages. So, very, very good stuff from these survivors here. All 4 survivors were hooked, which is what's confusing me a little bit, because if that's the case, then it should be 8 stages. So, no, I believe it is actually 8 stages. So that's 2k8, very respectable result for the Ghostface. When we come back, we will see how well Invictus can perform against Team Demonic. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second round of the first set of this time slots games. We are back with some more Ghostface on the Larry's Memorial Institute. This time Pedro playing for Team Invictus, Slama, Garafa, Juggernaut, and Deco for Team Demonic. Let us get things started. Very, very standard start. We're going to be seeing and knowing about a... So typically in Ghostface sets, I didn't talk about this last time. Typically in Ghostface sets, you camp pallets at the beginning, safe pallets, because Ghostface can easily catch you off guard if you are not careful, because it's a very silent and stealthy killer. So you camp safe pallets to make sure that you have some sort of safe resource to use and cover to hide behind for the stalking. Now, I do also have a little bit of housekeeping to engage in before we actually get things fully going here. It's important to know Invictus is incurring a bit of a penalty. Here at the end of these campfire, we require builds to be pre-sent at a specific time. And unfortunately, Invictus was a little bit late for that. So unfortunately, we did have to incur a bit of a penalty onto Invictus. So the win condition for Team Invictus, I believe, for this is a 2K with 9 generators remaining. Wait, what? A 2K with 9 stages. Excuse me. So that is currently what Team Invictus is fighting for, as we are currently seeing a very, very good stuff from Deco. Deco playing that pallet super duper well. It's just going to run away from Pedro as well with a lot of progress on this generator. So Pedro's struggling just a little bit to get a little bit of progress here. But now that they have no eyes, so what you're going to see now is the survivors are going to be camping safe pallets. But now that we have eyes on the killer, we have no eyes on the killer now. So now we're going to be seeing everyone going back to stealthing out a little bit, and there is Slama taking chase yet again, almost fully infected, wants to try to make a play and get to a very safe pallet, but unfortunately most likely it's just going to be taking a tag. No, Pedro does not actually want to tag here, and the reason why is because Slama is actually very, very close to being fully not infected but fully stalked. If Slama can get, or if Deco Pedro can get that full stock off, that would be huge for Pedro. However, Garafa here to dash Pedro's hopes and dreams just a little bit. Make sure that that stock is not able to come out. Pedro just going to be vaulting through this window. Not going to play the God palette, and there's a reason why. It's because he knew he was safe from the Ghostface stock for quite some time here. Now that Pedro has full stock, he waited and he finally fully stocked Garafa. Garafa now going to be fully stocked, heading over to this pretty safe tile, honestly. It's a bit of a God palette here, as we are going to be seeing Deco as well. Deco now fully stocked, taking chase at this side of the map here. Again, a very, very safe tile here. A bit of a God palette. Actually, it is a complete God palette, as a flashlight will happen. Residual manifest will actually mean you cannot any longer see where the generators are. So that's going to help out the team quite a bit, as Pedro now going to get blinded yet again by Deco. Demonic playing this very, very meticulously, and the progress on these generators is just going and going and going. Very, very good stuff we're seeing from Team Demonic here. Deco continuing chase at this pallet. Does he actually make it? Unfortunately, Deco will be going down, but 2 generators have popped for that one down, so Demonic has a lot to be thankful for here. Pain Resonance coming through. Very, very good stuff from Pedro. Now, the reason why we didn't see our last killer run Pain Resonance is because you can either run, we basically give you options. We allow Grim Embrace, but that means Pain Resonance is not going to be allowed. Vice versa is also true. So that is a bit of an explanation for that. As Slama, unfortunately, getting caught off there at that pallet. Very unfortunate stuff for Team Demonic here. And Slama will unfortunately incur a hook as well. Kicking the generator with a little bit of progress as the unhook now comes in. Not much progress to speak of, as Juggernaut is going to now be camping and making sure that he is playing as safe as possible. Rotating very, very slowly up the map while our Ghostface looks for any sort of stealther. And there's Jug. Jug now fully infected. Has to try to make this pallet, but unfortunately, due to the haste status effect you get from, I believe, Olsen's Wallet is what it's called, you do get that haste status effect, so that means that Jug will not make that pallet. And Jug is just going to be going in basement. Very, very unfortunate stuff here for Team Demonic. 3 more stages. Now, that means that the results have become a little bit easier. But remember, it's a 2K9 that we're looking for here. Either a 2K9 or a 2K10. One of those two. So, you know, Demonic's still not out of this game. But they need to be very, very, very careful. Pedro now on the top side of the map here. Now is going to just, you know, play the stealth game a little bit. And actually going to head back to the hook here that just happened. Wants to try to get a little bit of stock onto Garafa as well. Garafa now going to be fully stocked. Garafa now taking chase over at this pallet, but not going to make it, unfortunately. It just goes straight into the basement. Very unfortunate stuff for Garafa, as Garafa is now also going to be going into the basement. Boil over at that is going to be happening. You don't really allow much on the Ghostface, so it's not shocking to me that we're seeing Boil over. That is going to be our 4th hook with a Pain Resonance to boot. Jug wants to reset this palette. Now, this is actually some very smart stuff here. Resetting this palette means that you have a couple more resources to play around in the later into the game. Slama also needs to be very, very careful here, as here is the Ghostface. Ghostface now stalking, trying to get a little bit of stock progress onto Slama, but Slama just going to be holding forward, trying to make as much distance away from the Ghostface as possible. As there is Jug. Jug now taking chase with the Ghostface, dropping the pallet, has to try to play around it. Does fully get the Ghostface out. Oh dear, unfortunate stuff here for Jug. Actually tried to win a 50, but unfortunately Pedro was a little bit wise to it, and he's just going to take the down onto Jug. Progress on to main here, now coming through. Some very, very good stuff we're seeing here. These generators are just being progressed slowly but surely. Garafa now needs to be very, very careful here, because we might see the Ghostface very, very soon here. Deco, or Slama, apologies, is also here. They need to get a reset in and try to... Oh, but Deco now taking chase, unfortunately. Deco taking chase over to this tile here over at the top side of the map, I believe we're going to. It's been a while since I played on Larry's, so please excuse me. I believe that is going to the top side of the map, though. However, we're not interested in chasing that. We're interested in just getting Jug out of the game. And that is honestly the smartest play. Very good stuff here. Pedro is just going to be camping, and obviously Demonic knows this, so, you know, just cranking these generators. We're going to try to just finish one at that point. Unfortunately, ooh, Slama actually is going to be able to get the trade here. Beautiful stuff from Slama. Jug now needs to have the run of his life if he wants a chance at being able to give his team a little bit more time here. Now trying to win these 50-50s. Unfortunately loses it. Very, very unfortunate stuff for Jug here, as he is going to unfortunately take it down and is now going to be out of the game. Very good try from Jug, but unfortunately that is going to be the first death with 2 generators remaining. Slama gonna get picked up here as well. Now we're heading over. Oh, we actually see scratch marks here, and we actually do see Garafa. Garafa, we're not interested in really chasing that, though. We're interested in finding maybe someone who is a little bit more valuable, maybe by generators. And there is Slama. Exactly where we want him. Does Slama actually get perturbed by this? He does, unfortunately. Very, very good stuff from Pedro to mind game Slama a little bit there. Very, very good stuff. Gets another hook for Slama, or for Pedro. 2 more stages and the tie condition will have been met due to the penalty. Remember that. Garafa now needs to be extremely cautious, because if Garafa's caught off guard here, that would mean a slug and a 4K2. So Garafa needs to try to rotate a little bit down, maybe find Deco, maybe get a reset in. As we do hear, the progress to generator was library. Garafa now unfortunately in chase, taking chase over here, is actually going to make the pallet vault. Beautiful stuff from Garafa. Garafa now has this a bit of an unsafe pallet to play, has to win 50-50s, has to win some mind games, is now actually going to take his distance. Very good stuff. Wins that, but unfortunately it's just a little bit too late for Garafa, as Garafa's now going to be hooked. Slama unhooked now, so the reset's going to come through here. Sloppy Butcher. And there's the hook. One more stage and the tie condition will have been met. We're now going to be seeing a bit of stealthing going on from these survivors. If they can pull Garafa here. Ooh, Deco now fully stocked and is unfortunately just going to go down at this pallet. Very unfortunate stuff for Deco. All you need to really do is unhook Deco here and that, or hook Deco here, and that would essentially be the win, because at that point only one more stage. However, we are choosing to just go back to the hook here, which honestly I don't hate the idea of, because it means that you can confirm the victory, as we're now chasing Garafa. Garafa has this window to play and then into a pretty decent pallet. But oh, this is actually a very strong loop here for Garafa, but unfortunately Garafa just not quite able to win that. And Garafa will take his next hook. But that is the Tycon. 2 Survivor Protocol here. There's one more generator on the map that could possibly pop, I can see happening here. But other than that, it's going to be very difficult for Team Demonic to recover here. As unfortunately, no, it does not happen. We were desperately trying to crank out this generator, hoping that the Ghostface wouldn't think to look over here, but unfortunately Slama got a little bit caught off guard by it, and the hook onto Slama will signify the victory for Invictus for the first set. We're slugging. Deco is still working the library generator. We are slugging. We do know that that was the generator being progressed. And we are seeing scratch marks here as Deco is going to be taking chase by a swing through the pallet from Pedro. As you have nothing to lose here in wasting time, as we know where the final survivor is. And that is going to be a 4K with 2 generators remaining when we find Slama. If Slama can bleed out here, it'll be a little bit better, but unfortunately for Team Demonic, but fortunately for Team Invictus, the first set is going to Team Invictus. Ghostface is a very tough set. Now, the reason why not a lot of generator progress might be coming out, despite the fact that, you know, the killer isn't really doing much, is because of the fact that you cannot take the risk of the Ghostface catching you off guard. So survivors have to play very safely and have to play as if the Ghostface is constantly watching you until you know for sure where he is. So that's why we see a lot of camping of pallets, as we are going to be seeing the end game Mori of the Ghostface. Very good stuff here from Team Invictus. When we come back, we will have Team Invictus playing Wesker against Team Demonic. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Entities Campfire. We are here with Pedro on the Coal Tower versus Team Noetic, Slama, Garafa, Deagle, and Juggernaut yet again. We're just going down to the shack side of the map as we do see scratch marks, and we do actually see Jug actually taking chase with Pedro here on this very, very strong loop. Can't really get much for it, sadly, as Jug is going to have a very, very long chase on this. Can actually greet it once again, but just wants to drop it one more time, play his 50s, is going to actually win that one and loop around again. But unfortunately, Jug is just going to take tag, going over down to the 6th side of the map here. You have a God Rock to use, but it's not the safest talent against Wesker, so you're just going to be dropping that. We actually do make this yet again. No, we don't. Very unfortunate stuff here for Jug, but very fortunate stuff for Pedro, as we're going to be dying on the 6th side of the map here, and that will probably mean a pain.
I'll see you dead.
We do want to hook up a little bit closer to where, you know, we can defend things, and this hill is actually a perfect spot. Is it also a pain residence? Having this hook on a hill and it being a pain residence is really good for Pedro. Very, very good stuff here for Pedro. However, Demonic, they are currently stealthing and trying to, I think, just trying to make sure that they're not going to get caught off guard by Pedro here, as we are seeing Deco taking chase over onto the 10th side of the map here, is actually able to get a tag onto Deco. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here by Pedro here, getting that wonderful tag, as we do see an FTP play coming in from Jug. Garafa now going to be with the broken status effect here. There isn't much of a tunnel out here for Pedro. Now the question is, does Pedro want to play into the tunnel out? The answer will probably be no, as Garafa will be going down and eating a pain resonance at that. We do have a bit of progress on 2 different generators here. However, the 10 generator is unfortunately going to have to be left by Deco, as the full infection will happen. And we're actually dragging him straight to the top of the map here. That is actually very, very close here. And unfortunately not getting, you know, getting that hook to be up here is exactly what you need if you're Wesker, if you're Pedro here. As Jug going to be progressing a generator as well by himself over at Shack, and main generator still being progressed. No, Slama gonna choose to leave it, it looks like. Very smart play, as balance lining gonna be going through here. Wesker one bound, but not gonna choose to rebound, as we're going instead up here to kick this generator and apply eruption. Garafa still on hook here, and unfortunately this isn't much of a hook you can really do much about. You have both of these generators sparking, and you know, you're in a very strong position here with the 2 strongest generators on the map now fully gone almost. You now have to really reset mental here if you're Demonic and try to maybe figure out what other generators to progress here, as we are seeing Slama here. Beautiful one bound by by Pedro, and it will mean a throw. Unfortunate for Slama here. A throw of that caliber was quite incredible, as we're trying now to mind game this. One bound. No, we're not bounding just yet. One bound, 2 bound. Beautiful stuff from Pedro. Amazing, like clockwork on the Wesker. Like absolute clockwork on the Wesker, as we are finally hearing a gen pop in the distance. That will be Shack, as Water Tower generator is now slowly but surely being progressed. And there is Deco, unfortunately. Deco will actually make this pallet. So beautiful, beautiful stuff from Deco. Lasting just a little bit longer, has to win his 50s and will actually win it. Beautiful stuff from Deco. Now has to loop a little bit longer, buy his team a little bit of time. Is not on death hook, so he's gonna have to worry about dying here. Beautiful bound and beautiful bound and bound again from Deco, or from Pedro. Great stuff, as we do see an FTP play coming in. Deco now going to get dropped on the ground, I think, because we want to apply Pop Goes the Weasel. Yeah, we're applying Pop Goes the Weasel, and then going to carry him to this hook over at Water Tower. So, good efficiency on the generator regression by Pedro. Main building still being progressed, and I believe that was the gen that was hit with pain resonance. So unfortunate stuff here, is we're looking perhaps for a stealth inside of the lockers. We do not find it, so that's very good for Team Demonic, as the progress has not hindered just yet. We're still just progressing these generators slowly but surely. We haven't lost it yet. You know, Pedro has gained a lot of progress and a lot of hook stages, but this is still a very, very fine. This is still an okay and recoverable situation for Demonic, as we are now seeing the kick of the generator into eruption. And finally, Slamma's going to leave the main generator. Pop goes the Weasel eruption applied onto main as we're continuing chase over onto the 4 side of the map here. This 3 tile, very, very strong. But against the Wesker, Wesker has the ability to, you know, play against these long tiles a little bit better than most other killers. And we are actually seeing Slamma just taking chase at the top side of the map here. It looks like we are deciding to take chase over by the main building. Now, the reason why is because we obviously have balanced landing. No one else can really safely work this other than Slamma, so this is really the safest place to be taking chase. And a beautiful bound from Pedro means a down. Great stuff here from Pedro. And that is a hook to suit. Pain Resonance coming through onto Deco's generator. Very, very unfortunate. The generator progression is just being halted slowly and surely. Amazing stuff. As finally, as Jug is going to be able to get the unhook onto Slamma. Do they actually reset? No, it looks like Jug is just going to be leaving, and Slamma probably going to head over to his own location. Pedro now going to the bottom side of the map here. We do actually see Deco. 1 bound and 2 bound will mean a down if we can land true. Unfortunately, Pedro does not have it land true. The window being vaulted, revaulted. Do we actually make this pallet? We do. Very, very good stuff, especially on account of the short swing here, forcing the pallet drop. Shaq is now a very unsafe loop against this killer. Wesker has the ability to outplay it very, very well. Can Pedro actually do so? Pedro can, in fact, do so. Getting Deco, threading the needle through those walls and applying eruption yet again. Main, very, very close to popping. I don't think it actually has the ability to regress anymore, so we will see 2 generators go here, it looks like. With that generator pop, Slamma now needs to be very, very careful. If he needs to time his drop down very, very carefully, and it's actually choosing not to contest Slamma despite knowing that Slamma was up here. Instead, it's just choosing to leave. Now, that's probably good because we actually can find Garafa here. Garafa, probably a safer bet of a chase here. Ooh, good sprint burst here from Deco. Deco showing his mastery with the perks here, vaulting through the window and actually just holding W. No, continuing chase on this tile here. Probably smart because we didn't have much else to use. We have to play the Z wall very, very well, and we actually do. Very, very nice stuff from Deco here. Or from Pedro here. And I don't remember if Deco is dead on hook yet. Unfortunately, Deco is in fact dead on hook, so we're going to be seeing a death of 2 generators remaining. However, Water Tower Gen is able to pop here, and we are seeing Slamma slowly but surely progress this 10 generator. Garafa needs to take a very, very long chaser, as we are seeing, unfortunately, a tag. That tag this early on might mean that Pedro will decide to leave here. No, we're continuing chase here on to Garafa, so wonderful stuff here from Pedro, and that is going to be a down onto Garafa and a slug at that. We're heading back to the top side of the map. It's likely we're going to be seeing 10 being gone to here. We don't really see anyone at 1. We do see, however, someone at 10 re-rotating, just wanting to oh, actually Jug is actually going to re-stealth this to try to maybe apply some pressure onto 10 while Slamma takes the final chase. Oh no, we actually did know she was here. That's very unfortunate for Jug, and that's a throw at that into not really much else to use. No, we have this 10 power, but that's all we really have to use. 1 bound and 2 bound needs to land true. Beautiful stuff here from Pedro here, getting Jug just through the tile. Amazing stuff, as we are going to be seeing the infection on the disinfection, sorry, onto Garafa. Slamma, Garafa, and Jug need to be very, very careful. If I were Slamma and Garafa, I'd probably be resetting at this point, but you need to stealth out Pedro, who honestly has been like a hound dog this game. Has just been able to sniff out these survivors like their prey. Very, very interesting stuff. We're maybe trying to fake out Garafa here. And hold this cross. Now, this is actually a very good cross here for Pedro. Unfortunately, we're just not able to get the pull. But we can maybe pressure 10. So if we have pressure on 10, while this chase is happening onto Slamma, maybe there can be something happening here. Unfortunately, Slammo will go down, but I think we're going to be seeing the unhook onto Jug. No, we're not going to be seeing the unhook onto Jug. Unfortunately, it looks like Garafa is accepting that this is a 4K with one generator remaining and is saying, let's 1v1 for old time's sake. Come over to this 10 tile and 1v1 me. I will win this 50. But unfortunately, Garafa loses it. That it's going to be a 4K with one generator remaining, barring any sort of perk that we do not allow here at the entity's campfire on the Wesker balancing that could possibly save the rest of the survivor on the ground's lives. Very, very hard fought round for Team Demonic. They had a bit of, had a lot of just pressure throughout the map to be able to make it a 4K1, but unfortunately just were not able to close it out and make it a 4K0 or even out, as we are seeing the Wesker endgame Mori. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Team Demonic will be killing against Team Invictus. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second match of the second set of Entities Campfire here. Slamma on the Wesker versus Nightlight, Dan, Pedro, and Spitz here, taking chase to the top side of the map. Wasting no time is Nightlight. Nightlight now going to be trying to get to this pallet. Is actually going to successfully do so, dropping the pallet, wasting the killer's time as much as possible, taking chase to 8, vaulting through the window. Slamma also going to follow suit and vault through that window, trying to mind game a little bit. Nightlight, however, unfortunately going to lose that mind game and is going to try to take chase back over to the top side of the map. Very, very great stuff. Does not want to actually get zoned, so taking that hit might have actually been a strategical play from Nightlight here. Unfortunately, Slamma not going to quite get the down here. And we're going to continue chase onto this 4-lane tile. Bit unsafe. And now a dodge needs to happen here. Beautiful dodge here from Nightlight. Great stuff we're seeing. Nightlight now dropping the pallet. Great stuff. Are we actually going to be seeing a down here? No, Nightlight actually is going to make this pallet. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a 50-50. And now, ooh, Nightlight does lose that 50-50, however. So amazing stuff from Slamma to shut down that chase. But one generator will pop for its duration. No other generator progress to speak of, and I think we're going to learn that now, or at least, ooh, unfortunately, Slamma is going to get a pain resonance, which is going to eat away at a generator with very low progress. So, very good move here from Team Invictus. And no, Spitz actually had quite a decent amount of progress. Slamma successfully vaulting the pallet, is able to maybe catch off Dan. No, Dan isn't going to be caught off guard by Slamma at all, is instead just going to drop the pallet and get the stun. Bit of an FTP play coming in for Nightlight here, as Pedro is going to be revealed to be the FTP player. Logs is progressed a little bit. Pop Eruption applied. And now we're heading straight back to the top side of the map as we do see Pedro. And we also see Nightlight here. This is actually our tunnel out now. If you can actually get Nightlight out of the game in a good, reasonable amount of time, that would be huge. And getting that tag is also huge because it means that Nightlight's distance from balance landing would have meant nothing. And unfortunately, Slamma just got clipped by Nightlight there. Very unfortunate. Vaulting through that pallet. Great dodge by Nightlight. As it's going to force Slamma back a little bit and maybe to reconvene and think about things he's done. As we are continuing chase on to Nightlight. 1 bound, 2 bound will unfortunately mean not a down. Very great patience from Nightlight, as we're going to have to break the main door to maybe catch him off guard here. There is Nightlight. We also see Dan here ready to take a hit for him, so very great stuff from this team here, as there is the hit tank coming through. Continuing chase onto Nightlight. We do not want to give up Nightlight here. Nightlight wise to what Slamma was actually doing there. A swing and unfortunately a miss for Slamma here. 1 bound, 2 bound would mean a down, but unfortunately Spitz is here to take a hit, and unfortunately Slamma also just misses. So that's going to mean Nightlight is able to make it to the bottom side of the map here. Great coordination and great teamwork here coming in from Team Invictus. Spitz now going to be looping this eye tile here. Unfortunately, Slamma going to miss 1 and 2 bounds, and the eye filler is now all for Spitz with 2 generators remaining. Amazing stuff here. I should mention that due to the penalty that we spoke about back in the Ghostface set, this means that the win con would be 4k1, a tie con would be 4k0. Anything less than that will be the win for Invictus today. As we see Nightlight continuing chase onto Shaq here, going to probably drop the Shaq pallet. Yep, drops the Shaq pallet and does not want to loop it anymore. Shaq not the safest loop against Wesker, especially when the pallet is broken. The eye filler now also going to be dropped by Nightlight. Amazing stuff, as we're going to be trying to see a blind here. Very good try here from Spitz to get that blind, but unfortunately Slamma a little bit quick to the draw there. Nightlight continuing chase over to the 7th side of the map. This is a very long chase for Nightlight. Nightlight doing an amazing work on the run of the gods, going over to the 8th side of the map. Now, can we get 1 bound and 2 bound in the chat? Yes, we can. 1 bound, 2 bound will mean a down for Nightlight. Finally, after so long, and there is Spitz ready to get the unhook. Spitz is honestly just here to pressure Slamma, and the reason why is because they have so much progress that they can actually afford to do this. I mean, normally you'd say that this is trolling, but you know, because of the amount of pressure that we have, this is not really trolling, as we're actually seeing the unhook onto Nightlight. Already, if one more generator pops, that will be the tie condition met. And if anyone is out the door, that means Team Invictus is taking the set. And the final generator is about to pop. The tie condition has been met for Team Invictus. Any stage out the door will be the win for Team Invictus today. One tag onto Pedro. And we only have 2 stages at this point. There is Spitz. 1 bound. Patience and 2 bounds will mean a hit onto Spitz and an infection, but we are just running straight through main building. No, we're actually just gonna, yeah, we're gonna go straight through main building, and the reason why is because I don't think that door is ready just yet, but we want to stop over at 2 tiles. That is our Ormond tile. Spitz, however, just gonna be taking the down. Great stuff here from Slamma to get that down very, very quickly, but unfortunately, all these stages, that first stage out the door already seals it. Invictus has taken the game. Very, very hard fought matches from both sides today. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have 1 more match for today. We'll be right back with whoever's casting that. Thank you very much for coming to Invictus versus Demonic. Very well done to both of these teams. Stay tuned for more.